So this is part of a 4-part series. You can watch it all. It's really simple rudiments on how you take an idea from inception through the SharePoint, through and then into your third-party project management solution. And if you like it, do like and subscribe. And if you want to go deeper on any of these topics, which you'll undoubtedly need to do if you do take part in this kind of project, then get in touch. Just drop me a line. I'll put my email at the bottom and you can have a chat. So what I'm sharing here now is the entire solution that I've built for this very simple workflow where we are plugging in data that's been suggested by people for our projects and approved through an approval process. That's all part of the previous video into our third-party PPM, project and portfolio management solution. And in this case, the solution I'm going to use is one called Project Power Pack. It's provided by the project group, which is who I work for. Really fabulous solution, sits on the Power Platform, lives in the Dataverse, very extensible, very customizable. But here I'm just showing you the idea that any solution like this, if it sits in the Dataverse, is quite easy to adapt to your needs. And in this video, I'm going to tie in the project data and land it into our project table. So let's dig in. To prove that we're not dealing with rocket science here, the solution I'm going to show you looks like this. As a workflow, it's really simple. So we're going to look at a SharePoint record. We're going to monitor for changes. We're going to then look at very specific changes. And if we meet the conditions of the change that we care about, we're going to add a new row into our project table. So the first thing we want to do is use this trigger. When an item is created or modified, you can see here, you simply put the site address, the list name, that's all you do. The second and really important step you need to take is you don't want every change in your SharePoint record. But at this point, let me flip over to the SharePoint records as I showed in a previous video. We don't want everything to be loaded up into our project solution. So here we've got a Project 101 request. You can see here we've got lots of information on the value proposition. It's been sent off for approval. I showed you that in a previous video. And here the decision outcome is approved. Only when that's approved via an approval flow, do we want this flow to work? So we cater for that back in Power Automate using this condition, and the condition inspects the outcome value. Just a quick reminder, you've got this idea of dynamic content in Power Automate. It understands the context in which it's been invoked. If you click on that, you'll see all the data from the trigger. So when an item's been created or modified, we can see all the data that it's aware of when that action has taken place. And you can see all these. These will be familiar if you set up a SharePoint list. These are the records that I have set up in my case. So we're looking for the decision outcome. Now, a little tip here. If you are integrating your data in SharePoint with something else, and you've got a choices field in SharePoint, look for the value for the column that you're interested in. That means that specific value which has been selected. The other one is the entire object. So that's all of the choices as a set, if you like. And you can use that if you want to look at what options are available. But this is the one that people have picked, the one with value after it. So look for that. And we said there, if the value is equal to approved, which is what we wanted in our SharePoint list, if we flip back, it's approved. And we say, in that case, we want to add a new row. Now, this is part of a group of actions from the Dataverse. There is a disclaimer here. If you are working with the Dataverse, you're going to need some level of premium licensing, some capacity to work with the Dataverse. A whole different topic that I won't go into, but I will just show you that you've got a lot of flexibility with the Dataverse to work in the same way that you do with SharePoint. So here's all the Dataverse actions I can choose. There are bunches of them. Here, all we're doing is we're adding a new row to a table. So this action's really versatile. It's going to allow you to add a row to any table in the Dataverse in the environment in which you're publishing. So for example, I'm in my development environment. One thing I will say here is don't do this blind without a conversation with your vendor if that's what you're doing, integrating to a vendor's solution. I'm just showing the art of the possible, putting a record into our Project Power Pack project table. There are implications of the way that data is structured in the Dataverse. One thing tends to link to another, tends to drive another. So be aware that you don't just go and add records into your third-party vendor's solution without a conversation with them first. Make sure you understand what the implications of you adding a record might be. Here, I'm just showing you the art of the possible with a relatively simple table, he says, tongue-in-cheek, called projects from Project Power Pack. It has a lot of columns in our solution. You can see all these columns down here. They all drive different facets of a PPM solution, but I'm just showing you here that you can add data to those columns. One thing I do want to show that you have to be aware of is that in many solutions, when you're adding data, there are mandatory pieces of information. Power Automate exposes that by these little red stars. So you know that when you add a row here to the Dataverse, you've got to respect those mandatory pieces of information. Of the other 59 columns, you'll see here if I quickly scan down this table, there don't appear to be many others that are mandatory. But like I say, have that conversation. But the art of adding something is as simple as choosing the column, going to the data, going to the dynamic data, choosing from SharePoint which piece of information you'd like to place and placing it in. So really, the rudiments I've shown you end to end there are very simple. They're repeatable, they're reusable skills for the Dataverse, they're reusable skills for the Power Platform in general, but I want to show you that you can apply those with relatively little effort to create a workflow solution that could just work for you, could just make that third-party solution do the thing that you need it to do. Here, I'm adding project rows in, and I can now go and manage those projects using Project Power Pack. So, as I said all along, if you've got questions, you've got ideas, you've got thoughts, please pop them in comments. Do like and pop a subscribe in. So I'll keep making videos like this, and maybe next time we'll go deeper into one aspect of this, or ask me your questions and we'll go deeper into those questions. All right, take care for now.